Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host Stan Rattan and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. Now, today we're going to go to the Languedoc region of France, which is way down south below the Rhone Valley, kind of getting close to Spain, the Mediterranean, and I think some of the best values in blends, I couldn't spit that out, in blends come from the Languedoc. Now, you can say Languedoc, it's okay. I just have a dude that really gets into French. He says it's Languedoc, I'm believing him. I think that before I get started, I think a lot of you, and I know this because I deal with customers on a regular basis, you don't like to get into these French wines that you don't understand. And I get it. I totally understand. Some of the names are hard to pronounce. Classic examples, Languedoc, Roussillon, which is the same area generally speaking. And I think a lot of us don't understand what are in these wines. And basically they are blends. Just like the blends that everybody's going nuts about from California and Washington. These are blends, and they're mostly blends of Carignan, Cinsault, Mourvedre, and Syrah. Those are the main grapes, and Grenache, of course. But a lot of people don't know this because with French labels it's a little more difficult to understand that because they don't name it by the varietal. Well, we don't either. If you think about it, Apothic Red, what is that? Or Firehouse Red, or Marietta Old Vine Red. And some of the labels, they do say what's on them. But, you know, I mean, we're comfortable with those types of wines. But when you start getting into French wines, we tend to shy away because we're not really sure what they're about. Well, hopefully, by watching programs like this, you can feel more comfortable going out and buying these wines. Now, all of these are from Languedoc, but all of them are from different areas of the Languedoc region. And some of them will say Languedoc on them, some of them won't. But the main thing is to realize that these are great values when you get into these areas. The first one we're going to look at is Chateau Reissac from Cabardes, which is a sub-region in the Languedoc AOC. And this is 2009 Cabardes, and this rolls in at $17. I'll give you a picture of the label. And again, nowhere on here, let me see, does it say the appellation is Cabardes? And yes, it does say Grand Vin du Languedoc, so you do have that down there. So if you read carefully on the label, you can find where it says that. And this is $17, and this, in the Cabardes region, they do Cab Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot. They also do a little Grenache and Syrah in their blends. So this one in particular does not tell you what is in it, but at least you have a general idea. And if it says Languedoc, I'm just telling you, you're in for a really nice value wine in most cases. So, let's give this one a try. I'm really working on this because, you know, like in the Rhone Valley, I really have a hard time selling Rhone wines in my store. And I think the main reason for that is, again, people do not understand that these are just blends. Now, of course, in the Rhone Valley, predominantly Syrah Grenache, but still, a lot of the blends that we get out of Washington State are Syrah based. So, you know, again, they're really popular, but from France, people, again, tend to shy away from them. Of course, my demographics are a little different than a lot of areas. I know I've talked to other wine stewards from other stores, and they just rock the Côte de Rhone. But, of course, if I stack a Côte de Rhone and put a descriptor on it, I still have a hard time selling it. I'm not sure why, you know, wine's a mystery. It really is. So this one has a lot of like really heavy iron cherry and currant notes. A little bit of forest floor, which you would expect from an old world wine. I really like that kind of that rusty element of this wine. It really comes through on the nose. I get a lot of red flowers also, which is, again, very typical of old world style wines. A little bit of mocha coming through, which is kind of curious. Alright, let's see what we get on the palate. I really like this wine, and what I like about French wines, in particular from the Languedoc, this one has good acid, good structure, it's fairly smooth, still shows those kind of rustic characters, but not to an extreme. You're not going to get a dirty, kind of barnyardy wine here. Good acid meaning it's lending itself towards food, hamburgers, pizza, whatever you would like to try with this, not whatever, but the idea is hamburgers, pizza, steak, those types of things. The red flowers come through prominently on the finish. I get a little bit of red licorice coming through. A little bit of leather, definitely leather. The red flowers, again, big time red flowers. I get that rusty element. And that's not a bad thing. I know that we say rust, and you're like, why do I want rust in my mind? It's just that effect of that kind of mineral-driven taste that comes through. I get like a little bit of a clay aspect coming through. A lot of soil, but still very bright, very food-friendly red. For 17 bucks, I'm gonna give this one a B to the B+ side. Let's move on to the next one. Now this is another region of the Languedoc region of France, again down in the southern end below the Rhone Valley. And this one may be one that you're more familiar with. This is from Corbieres, which is another region inside the larger Languedoc region. This is Chateau Malande, 2012. Old vines, vieille vines. There you go. And this is one that, you know, when, excuse me, so you get a little picture of the label. Once again, a lot of people may shy away from it because it, you know, where's Corbieres? Well, Corbieres is in the Languedoc region of France. This one happens to say what is in the wine. That is 50% Carignan and 50% Cinsault. And once again, a lot of you may not be familiar with those varietals, but they use them a lot in red blends from California and from Washington. Cinsault especially, it gives a good punch to the wine. And Carignan, you know, one of the most widely planted grapes in the Languedoc region of France. And again, a lot of the US brands will use Carignan in their blends. $10 US. A little more funkified on the nose, and again, a lot of people might shy away from it because it's not a fruit bomb. But when you get this kind of funkiness on the nose, a lot of us guys that really are experimenting and wanting to try different wines learn that that's a good quality. I get a little bit of an earthiness, kind of a mushroom currant thing going on. A little bit of a chocolate element coming through. Oh, excuse me. There goes Bella. It's been a long time. We'll be right back. No, you can't. It's been a long time since we've had a Bella interruption on the Stan the Wine Man TV program. A little bit of a plumminess coming through, a little bit of licorice. I like it. Let's see what we get on the palate. A lot more of a fruity characteristic on this. We get a lot of red cherries, a little bit of cranberry action, definitely red flowers coming through. There isn't the rust action on it. A good acidity on the back end. Again, making it a food wine. You'll find that a lot with the old world wines. You know, in their culture, you know, drinking a wine just by itself is not as common as having it with a meal, so that's the way they build their wines. And it's something we should take to heart. I mean, really, I know the trend for millennials is to drink wine by itself, no food. But really, when you have wine and food together, the marriage can really make the experience that much better. So if you're not going into that realm, you might want to just start, you know, thinking about it. You know, when I break out a pizza, when I break out a hamburger, you know, maybe I'm having fish sticks or, you know, whatever it is, hot dogs. You know, this little Corbieres from the Languedoc, 2012, would go perfectly with those things. It's pretty simple, it's not complex, but it's got good acid, which would make it great with food. What makes both of these wines kind of outstanding to me is the red flower component that comes through. I just love that, you know, cherry red flower, like violets and rose petal coming through on this, and very fresh. It's delicious, simple. I'm not going to say you're getting a super complex wine here, but you're getting a very quaffable, food-friendly wine. I'm going to go B- on that one for 10 bucks. I think it is a steal. Let's move on to the next one. Domaine Molinier, and this is from another sub-appellation of the Languedoc, and it is G. Molinier 2010 Saint-Chinian, which is, and here it says on the very bottom, red Languedoc wine. And this rolls in at 14 US dollars. There you go. Let's see if we can get a little tighter view. Once again, don't worry so much about saying the names right. You might want to, oh, it says Saint-Chinian. It's named after a saint in that area. And this, I believe, tells you it is, yes, 60% Syrah, 20% Grenache, and 20% Mourvedre. So there you go. Again, a blend. $14. Let's see what we get on the nose. Rearrange. Okay. Again, we get a little bit of funkiness, a little bit of stink action, which I like. Dark cherries and plums, a lot of earth, a lot of dirt. Leather, I get a little sweet vanilla hit on the back end. And once again, I get with that currants, that minerality, I get the red flower element coming through. And this is more like a wilted red flower, like wilted rose petals, wilted violets. Definitely a crushed rock element coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. Of the three, I think this would be the one that perhaps those who are into New World wines, who want to step into the Old World, might enjoy this one the most. It's rounder, silkier tannins, definitely like a red, black cherry sort of currant thing going on. The red flowers definitely come through on the backside. There's definitely a crushed rock element, but I like the crushed, like crushed rose petal and crushed violets coming through. Not huge on the minerality. The acid's just a tone softer, not a huge amount of difference, but it is toned down just a little bit. So those of you who might want to try or step into old world wines might want to try this little gem for $14. And again, this would go with hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, all of those things. And for those of you that you might want to just pop and pour a glass of wine while you're watching your favorite sitcom or whatever you do, reading your book, socializing with friends, actually this one could, more than the other two, be drunk solo. Yeah, the minerals really come through on the finish. So, my recommendation to you is when you see Languedoc, think blends. Don't think French wine. Don't worry about whether or not you can pronounce the names. Don't worry about whether you say Saint-Chinian or Saint-Chinian, whatever you want to say, Corbieres, or you might even refer to this, what was the first one? Sorry. Cabardes, all from the Languedoc, southern France. Thanks for watching. Please, please continue to stretch out your palate horizons, try new things, don't be afraid of them. Even if you can't pronounce them, just give them a try. Cheers, and here's to keeping the snob out of wine.